Westmoreland Community Connections is a presentation of Citizens Fiber.
Welcome to Westmoreland Community Connections, a look at issues and happenings on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. Here now is your host, Jennifer Miele, Chief Communications Officer and Managing Director of Evangelization of the Diocese of Greensburg.
Welcome to Westmoreland Community Connections on WHJB. I'm your host, Jennifer Miele. Thank you so much for listening. Excited to have a wonderful and blessed guest on the show today. From St. Anne's Home, I have the Director of Development and Marketing, Mary Dreliszak. Mary, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me and all of our folks here who are listening to Westmoreland Community Connections.
Thank you, Jen. It's a pleasure and a real honor. So thank you for having me.
Well, we're excited to learn some more about St. Anne's Home. So why don't you give us the rundown about where it is, and what kind of services are available?
Sure. So St. Anne Home is located in Greensburg, and it was built by the Diocese of Greensburg in 1964. St. Anne is actually a ministry of the Felician Sisters of North America, and the services we offer are skilled care, rehabilitation, personal care, and independent living options to meet the needs of our residents.
That sounds wonderful. So what is your size like now? And, what are the living conditions look like for someone who might be interested?
Sure. So we have about 155 resident capacity here. And on the skilled side and on the personal care side, we have 42 apartments that are studio, 1 bedroom and 2 bedroom. I know currently we have a few openings, and, through the years, St. Anne Home has just been for many years, so much of word of mouth. You might call and there might not be a room available. And so that can still happen. I think that currently right now we do have a few openings, but we've done, extremely well. And it's because of the reputation St. Anne Home has enjoyed all of these years within our area. So we certainly have that capacity right now.
And you talked about it being mission driven. Talk a little bit more about the sisters and what they add to this facility.
Oh, they add so much to this facility. In fact, St. Anne Home, again, it's a Felician ministry. And so with that come 5 core Felician values that drive everything that we do. So no matter where we work, whether it's housekeeping or maintenance or nursing or the front desk, wherever we are, the 5 core values that drive us are, and I'll kind of you list them out for you if that's okay, but they're respect of human dignity, compassion, transformation, solidarity with the poor, and justice and peace. And so they're really, driven by so much. When you think of the respect of human dignity, that is the key number one thing that I feel when I'm here. It's the atmosphere that prevails here at St. Anne Home. You will feel it, and that compassion, you will feel it the moment you walk in the door.
And you think that's the big differentiator for St. Anne?
I do. I think that absolutely is. Those values for sure. And, we have the Felician Sisters and the daughter of Mary's sisters actually living here. We have a convent upstairs. And as well as our chaplain, Father Lieber Ortega, is also a resident here. We also have a large chapel where daily mass is offered and where residents can currently be socially distanced and attend mass. We have a pastoral care team that visits, distributes communion, and provides spiritual and emotional support for residents of all faiths. So these are just a few of the things that make St. Anne Home different. I'll give you a quick example, too, just of that. I mentioned how it just feels like home. We had a resident, and you hear this often. You hear this from staff, but there was a personal care resident, Kathleen, who said, when I came to St. Anne, I had looked at different personal care homes. But when I walked in and took 10 steps inside, I told my family, stop. This is it. It just feels like home. And I honestly believe it's because I believe Jesus is present here in everything that we do. And I think that you feel that the moment you walk in the door.
Isn't that wonderful? So you're making this awfully appealing. So how would individuals learn more about St. Anne?
Well, certainly from a different perspective, if they wanted to learn more, certainly come to stannehome.org. That is our website where you can learn more. You can also call us, and I'll give you that number if that's okay. This is for any prospective families that might want to take a look at St. Anne Home, they could reach out to us at 724-837-6070. And again, visiting our website at stannhome.org, or a couple different ways they can get to know us a little bit. We'll certainly be happy to talk to them and all about St. Anne Home and send them some information. We're not currently, just at this point right now on this particular day, offering tours as we used to just because of the pandemic, but that will resume, and I hope resume very, very shortly, where we can walk people through St. Anne Home and they can get that sense of what it's about. I remember one time doing a tour here at St. Anne's, and a family had a family member living in Austria. So we did a FaceTime while the family walked through St. Anne Home with me. Sister from Austria was on her phone checking it out as well from there. So it was kind of cool. But also getting involved with St. Anne could be through volunteering. So that could be through, we have our activity program here. And so we need volunteers to serve as escorts. When we have a family visit going on, we need escorts to help the resident get to the place where the family is waiting for them, or to get them to the beauty nook, if you will, to get their hair done, or to get them to an activity or to mass. So we have a big need for that, and many other ways that volunteers can serve our residents while they're here at St. Anne Home, and certainly financially and prayerfully supporting us as well.
That's just wonderful. You know, I don't know if you remember this, but just before the COVID-19 sort of shut down, remember when we all went into shutdown, about a month before,
yes,
I brought some Queen of Angels cheerleaders there to perform for the residents. And we had such a wonderful time. We really enjoyed ourselves. Yeah. You could see how engaged and how many opportunities for activities there were for the residents there. And that has to be something you're really proud of, is that this is an extension of their normal life. This is just a different place to live, and it's very engaging, I would say. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm glad that you mentioned that. We've had family members that have said, my mom was home alone. She was looking at four walls and she was alone. We knew that she needed to be surrounded by people. And, and her name was Jenny. She was a resident here. And she said, I feel like I'm on vacation because I get up and I have breakfast, and then I go to mass, and then I have rosary, and then I have lunch, and then I have activities. They might be doing jewelry making or bowling, or they might, as you mentioned, the wonderful cheerleaders, which they love them, or be able to just have entertainers that would come. You'd walk in the door and you hear music playing and someone singing. So it's definitely an integral part of our residents' lives here to be able to do that. And I have to say, through the pandemic, our activities team has done an amazing job keeping into the way that is humanly safe to be able to do so, those activities going. So what that might look like, instead of being in the main dining room and we didn't have any entertainers, unfortunately, at that time, but they were able to do things like hallway bingo, where they would sit at their doorway and they would do, bingo or exercise. There were certain ways where they could stay within their spaces and be socially distant and still be able to engage. They'll take carts around with milkshakes and different things like that they'll be passing out to the residents as well. And I know that during the pandemic, during the heart of it truly, the community's outpouring to our residents, sending cards, homemade cards, gifts, food for staff. It was just overwhelming and meant so much to all of us here at St. Anne's. You
are probably, I would imagine, some of the first on the list for the vaccine. And has that changed things a little bit?
It has. It certainly, I'll tell you what, has given us a sense of peace. Our first vaccinations here were the very beginning of January. Now we've had about 4 vaccination clinics. We have another one coming up. So we're giving all of our residents and staff that opportunity. And I have to tell you, I just know myself, we work so hard to do all of the safety protocols that the CDC, the Pennsylvania Department of Health, all those guidelines, following them to keep everyone safe from the wearing the shields and the masks and the protective equipment that we use. All those in place have helped to keep us safe, but knowing that we are now vaccinated, just another layer. We don't let our guard down too much. We can't let our guard down, and we don't. We still follow all those safety guidelines, but we still have it. We have a kind of a more peace of mind now. And as we speak right now here at St. Anne Home, we have family visits going on. We have tents outside. We have people coming into the rooms where someone has a single room. They're able to come in and visit with their resident. So it's because of the vaccinations and because of the positivity rate being, right now in Westmoreland County under 10%, we have been able to, open our doors again and enjoy those family visits again with our residents.
Oh, that must be such a welcome change after more than a year, really trying to protect the residents, protect employees and things like that. So what a bright future hopefully we have with that.
I absolutely hope so. I know it's meant so much to the families. I remember the first day we were able to come inside into the residence room, and even the very person I was talking about being in Austria, she came home, but she's been home for maybe right before the pandemic or right at the pandemic or during it, has not seen her mom in 2 years. And she came here to do a window visit because that was one way you could visit with residents, was having a window visit. So it was quite a common scene here at St. Anne because we have windows. Every single room at St. Anne Home has a wall-to-wall window in it. So certainly afforded that. But when Kathy came to do a window visit and found out she could come inside, and we were able to escort her down to her mom's room, she realized, I can't believe I'm going to get to see my mom today. She hadn't seen her in 2 years. And when she got down there, Mom was just beside herself. She was crying and so happy to see her daughter. So it means everything, really does.
Oh my goodness, what a story. And you probably have many, many stories like that where families are reuniting with their residents.
Definitely. We definitely do. It means so much. It means so much to the residents to be able to see them, because in the meantime, Activities has kept the residents engaged with their families also through FaceTime, a lot of FaceTime visits. We have these iPads. We had some iPads donated to St. Anne Home that made a big difference in allowing us to go room to room and set up some FaceTime visits. And that's one way. But there's nothing like seeing your family member in person and giving them a big hug, that's for sure.
My goodness. And what a nice way to engage and donate to St. Anne is the donation of iPads. And after our break here in a few minutes, we're going to be talking about other ways that individuals can be involved and help with the development and fundraising piece, because, I'm sure not every family is able to afford, the services that are provided for this kind of care. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. But one more time to recap on how individuals can learn a little bit more about St. Anne. Where can they go? Who can they talk to? What would you suggest?
Absolutely. Please go. They could go to stannehome.org. So that's STANNE home.org. Certainly go there. They can also call us at 724-837-6070. Let the receptionist know what their question is. She'll know exactly where to send them, whether it's to nursing or to development or to activities for volunteering. She'll know exactly where to send them. So we invite them to do so.
How wonderful. I'm talking now to Mary Dreliszak, and she is the Director of Development and Marketing for St. Anne Home in Greensburg. She's done a wonderful job explaining how they've triumphed over COVID, how we are seeing progress with residents being able to be visited once again. And she just recently gave the information for anyone who's interested in learning more about St. Anne Home for their loved ones, someone who might be interested. And she's done a great job with that. You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on WHJB. I'm your host, Jennifer Miele, and we'll be right back.
This is Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. If you have a suggestion for a topic, or if your nonprofit organization would like to be featured on this program, call us during regular business hours at 724-216-1200.
Westmoreland Community Connections is a presentation of Citizens Fiber.
Welcome back to Westmoreland Community Connections on WHJB. I'm Jennifer Miele, happy to be your host and very happy to be with a special guest today from St. Anne Home in Greensburg. The Director of Development and Marketing is Mary Dreliszak. And Mary, you are so very passionate about the work and the mission of St. Anne. And I'm so grateful to have you on the show today. So I have to ask you, tell me about you. How did you get this job and how did you get in?
Well, my career has spanned, in communications and in both healthcare and education. And I learned about the job about 3 years ago is when I started. I was actually development director at Geibel Catholic Junior Senior High School before coming here. So this is the third time in my career that I've held a development position. And when I heard about the opening and came here, and you just get to see the residents and the coworkers who I absolutely love. It's just a very rewarding place to be. I can tell you that. So my background is communications and healthcare, both on the communications and development side. Yeah. So.
Wonderful. So you split your time partially with communications, and we can come back to that, but partially with development. And I wanted to talk for a few minutes about how you offset the cost for some of these residents. What kind of programs are available to help offset the costs?
Well, we have funds, for example, for if somebody wanted to come and live on the personal care side. We have something called the St. Felix Fund. The personal care is all private paid. So if someone has exhausted their resources in being able to, be at the personal care side, the St. Felix Fund will kick in and help them maintain those services. And one of the ways that we do that is through an annual dinner that we have called the Progressive Dinner. It's usually held in May. We're not going to be holding it in May this year. We're still thinking about whether or not it will happen during the summer, but that is just one way. We also provide, care to residents even when their resources have run out. We're kicking in and trying to help them as well. So the development funds raised when people give to St. Anne Home, it helps to support our programs and services and helps to allow people to be here and remain here to receive this compassionate care that we offer.
That's wonderful. So you have an auction coming up in the fall. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yes. Now, this would be our 25th year for the Harvest of Blessings auction. It's held every year at St. Vincent College in the Fred Rogers Center. Last year, we were planning it and COVID hit, so we weren't able to have it as a physical event, so we turned it into a virtual event. We turned it into a 10-day online harvestofblessings.org, and we showcased videos that we created to tell our story and to tell our COVID story, and to honor the Knights of Columbus who have been so good to us as well in supporting our fundraising efforts. And so it was a 10-day virtual event this year. On November 6th, we're hoping it can be a physical event. And if it isn't, we'll turn it into a virtual event. Maybe we'll do both. During COVID, you certainly learned that you have to do things differently. And sometimes those things become, you think, why didn't we do this all along? And this is kind of working. So, but we do hope that we can have the 25th annual Harvest of Blessings become a physical event because we have lots to celebrate. That's for sure. So
oh my goodness. Yeah, that sounds wonderful. So what normally happens if you do have an in-person event? What's the format for the event?
Oh, thank you for asking that. Well, it is a dinner and an auction. We have live auction, silent auction. We have basket raffles. We have a little bit of entertainment. It's really something for everyone. You could come in and just say, I'm just going to do the baskets and I'm going to have a nice dinner, or I'm here for the live auction or I'm here for the silent auction. But no matter what, we're there as a community to just really support St. Anne Home. And it's a beautiful, beautiful setting. If for your listeners have ever been to the Fred Rogers Center at St. Vincent, it is truly a place to go and to be, and you want to stay there. Even when the event's over, you're like, darn, I have to go home. It's so pretty, though. It's just so nice. And so, and certainly in the fall, it's a beautiful time of the year to have it as well. So, dinner, auction, something for everyone.
Sounds very nice. So you also have a lottery calendar that people can access even if they aren't coming in person. Is that right?
Absolutely. So the lottery calendar has been also a long-standing tradition of St. Anne Home and a very popular one at that. And is also sold every fall. And traditionally it's sold here at St. Anne Home, but also within the churches in the Diocese of Greensburg. And the Knights of Columbus have jumped in this year when it was the pandemic to say, let us contact those churches and we'll go where we can. They'll set up in the parking lot after church, or they'll put something in the bulletin. So we also created a way where people could buy calendars we sent out letters to 2,600 past buyers and recipients. Would you like to buy a calendar? Here's the giving envelope. Would you like to choose your number? And what that is the 3-digit number that plays off the Pennsylvania Daily Lottery, the evening number, and you have 365 chances because you can have a chance to win every day of the year. At least $30, sometimes $100, and one time is $500 as well. So very popular. People do request their favorite numbers, and they give them as Christmas gifts. They're $25 a piece. So anyone interested in that can certainly contact us here at St. Anne Home, and we'll get them their lottery calendar. Actually put them on the list to mail something out to them as well. They can order. They can even order online. That's also available in the fall as well.
Wow, you guys got all that planned for the fall. That sounds wonderful. Now, the progressive dinner, again, assuming that you would be able to have something like that, what is that format like?
So that's a cool thing, and more of an intimate affair, if you will. So what that is where we have hosts that would host the hors d'oeuvres. So people sign up, and then we are going to assign you to which host home you're going to go to for hors d'oeuvres. Then we're going to assign you to which host home you're going to go for the main entree. And then we'll all meet. So you're there at each place for 45 minutes. And then you travel to the next place. And then we all meet at, typically it's Lakeview for dessert. And that's how we wrap up the evening. It's just a nice little way to enjoy some dinner and some camaraderie and to support St. Anne Home, specifically the St. Felix Fund. So we might be able to do something this summer. Perhaps it's an outdoor. We have some interest in seeing if we can carry on with that. And it might just happen. So we'll see. We'll definitely put the word out there if we do.
Yes. So the other half of your job beyond development is communication. So I would imagine that website is pretty much a lifeline. And this information will eventually be available on the website?
Absolutely. We'll put it on stannehome.org. We have St. Anne Home Facebook as well. So we'll certainly get the word out that way as well. And we do advertise. We advertise on WHJB. We advertise our Harvest of Blessings on WHJB. So listen there for some announcements as well. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, you're on WHJB now, so that's kind of relevant. So people are listening, then they probably already have their radio tuned to that, I'm sure. And I think that, really the point is that supporting these events, whether it's the auction, the lottery calendar, the progressive dinner, all supports the ability for residents to maintain their living at St. Anne's, right? I mean, this is money that goes directly to help them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We could not exist here, and we could not support, and we could not have our residents here without the support of the community, 100%. So it means everything. It means everything to our residents and to us for their support as well. I do have a story I could share with you that has to do with community support. May I do so?
I would love that. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So something that happened not too long ago. I was speaking with a resident. Her name was Jean, and she was sharing that she had been an elementary teacher in the Hemphill Area School District all her life, and that sometimes she runs into former students, and she loves when she can do that. But there was one student she always wished she could find. In fact, she's reached out to try to find her and never could. So we asked her, well, what's her name? She said her name is Dietra. We're thinking, well, Dietra, well, that's a kind of a different name. So we said, how about if we put it out there on Facebook and just see if anybody knows where Dietra is? We knew that she lived in Hannistown. We knew that she went to the Hempfield School District. We even, shared the years that she would have been there, like 1953, and that she would have been in second grade. Well, the Facebook community responded in an overwhelming way. More than 56,000 people this message reached, more than 720 shares. Later, we found Dietra. And Dietra is living just a few miles away from St. Anne Home, and it was all made possible because of the Facebook community who would share and say, does anybody know Dietra? Then let's try to help find her. And then people would start to communicate with each other. We even had a little mini reunion going on Facebook. And Mary Jo, is that you? And they would have this little conversation going. It turns out Dietra found out that her former second grade teacher was looking for her from her cousin who lives in Peru, and saw it on Facebook. So Dietra learned about this, and we arranged, Dietra came in and did a surprise visit to her second grade teacher. Her second grade teacher knew her daughter was coming, but did not know that Dietra was coming. So there's Jean sitting there at the table and sees her daughter walk in and sees this other woman walk in, and she's saying, "I don't know you." And she said, "Yes, you do." We said, "That's Dietra." And she just couldn't stop crying. She was just so, she said it was her wish. Jean, the resident, is turning 90 years old in July. And this was her wish, to be able to find the second grade student that she had made. She was a new teacher at the time, and she had made such a bond with her. Always wondered what happened to her, and always wished she could find her. And because of the community and the Facebook response, she did. So we thank everyone who had any part. Yeah.
What an amazing story. I mean, Mary, this is so touching. And I think really the point of that story is that St. Anne is going above and beyond to make sure that the residents there are just so well cared for and really listening to what they want and what's important to them. That's amazing. That's a wonderful story. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're so welcome. My pleasure.
It's just wonderful. So we're going to wrap up our interview here on Westmoreland Community Connections. We had an opportunity to speak with Mary Dreliszak, and she is the Director of Development and Marketing at St. Anne Home in Greensburg. Shared some amazing stories with us today about the culture of St. Anne, the mission of St. Anne. Also shared some information about how you can get involved to both volunteer and attend some of the fundraising dinners that help support the care of the residents there. So make sure you check out their website, stannehome.org, or you can give Mary a call. I don't want to flood Mary's inbox there, but certainly, Mary, part of your job is answering questions all the time.
I would love it. Call me. I would love it.
That's wonderful. Thank you again. And we'll look forward to talking to you soon before the fall and hear more about your Harvest of Blessings dinner, as well as the lottery calendar when that goes on sale. Thanks again, Mary. I appreciate it.
Oh, Jen, thank you so much. It's my pleasure and honor. Thanks again.
Signing off, I'm your host, Jennifer Miele, and you're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on WHJB.
This has been Westmoreland Community Connections, a look at issues and happenings in and around Westmoreland County. Join us again next week on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB.
Westmoreland Community Connections is a presentation of Citizens Fiber.